04, A grave deception, unraveling plots beneath Crow's foot. In the dimly lit basement of their newly established underground hospital, the air was thick with the anticipation of fresh opportunities. The walls were lined with blueprints and notes, a testament to the ambitious project they were embarking on. The hum of activity filled the space as their plans took shape. Harlequina Silva, her sharp eyes gleaming with strategic brilliance, gathered the group around a cluttered table. She laid out a plan that would ensure their continued survival and financial stability. Jack, Rabbit, and Jim Bob listened intently as she outlined their next audacious scheme. "We need funds to kickstart our new venture," Harlequina began, her voice steady and authoritative. "The hospital won't build itself, and we can't rely on donations from the less-than-willing citizens of Doskvol." Jack's eyes were fixed on Harlequina, his curiosity piqued. "So, what's the plan?" Harlequina smiled, her expression a mix of mischief and determination. "We're going to leverage Captain Marik Ishtar's bounty on Jim Bob. We'll present a fake corpse as Jim Bob, collect the bounty, and use that money to fund our operations. It's risky, but it could be our ticket to the resources we need." Rabbit, always the pragmatist, raised an eyebrow. "And how do you plan to pull that off?" "Ishtar's not an easy man to deceive." "That's where our resident master of disguise comes in," Harlequina said, gesturing to herself. "I'll create a convincing persona for Jim Bob. We'll need to make sure every detail is perfect, no room for error." Jim Bob, his face a mixture of apprehension and resignation, spoke up. "It's a solid plan, but I have to agree to never leave the house in daylight again. It's a big risk, and I don't want to make things harder for everyone. If we're going through with this, I'm all in." Jack nodded, his mind already racing through the potential complications. "Agreed. This will work if we're meticulous. Harlequina, I trust you'll make Jim Bob look convincingly dead." Harlequina's lips curled into a confident grin. "Leave that to me. I'll make sure the disguise is flawless. But we need to be quick and precise." Jim Bob sighed, the gravity of the situation sinking in. "All right. If this is what it takes, I'll do it. Just promise me one thing, no daylight for me. I'll stay hidden until the heat's off." With their plan set in motion, the trio set about their preparations. Harlequina's skills were put to the test as she meticulously crafted the false persona for Jim Bob, using every trick in her book to create a lifelike disguise that would fool even the most discerning observer. The process was painstaking, but her attention to detail was unwavering. The sun had barely begun to set, casting long shadows across the bustling streets of Doskvol as the trio prepared for their daring deception. Inside their newly established underground hospital, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Rabbit and Jim Bob, having agreed to stay behind, were busy putting finishing touches on the preparations for their new venture. Meanwhile, Harlequina and Jack were geared up for the day's risky plan. Harlequina, her disguise impeccable, exuded an air of confidence and authority. She had meticulously crafted her own appearance to blend seamlessly with the high society of Doskvol. Beside her, Jack wore a similar disguise, his features carefully altered to match the sophisticated attire of someone who belonged in the governor's circles. They were not alone in their mission. Accompanying them was Harry Potter, a young wizard with an air of quiet determination. His disguise was equally elaborate, designed to keep him inconspicuous and blend in with the crowd. He carried with him a fake body, a cleverly crafted decoy, dressed and prepared to pass as Jim Bob in his final moments. As they approached the imposing gates of the governor's house, the weight of their plan pressed heavily on their shoulders. Jack stole a glance at Harlequina and Harry. "Everyone ready?" he asked, his voice steady but laced with anticipation. Harlequina gave a reassuring nod, her expression one of practiced calm. "Let's keep our wits about us. Remember, our goal is to convince them we're delivering a bounty." Harry adjusted his disguise, his eyes scanning the surroundings with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. "I'll follow your lead." Just say the word. The trio approached the entrance, where the stern-faced guards stood watch. Harlequina took the lead, her voice smooth and authoritative. We're here to deliver a bounty to Captain Ishtar. We have the necessary documentation. They were greeted by the stern-faced guards who eyed them warily. Harlequina took the lead, her voice smooth and convincing. She repeated. We're here to deliver a bounty. Captain Ishtar is expecting us. The guards exchanged uncertain glances, clearly skeptical. Do you have identification? One of them demanded. Harlequina produced a forged document with a flourish, her confidence unwavering. Of course. Here's our authorization. We're expected. The guards scrutinized the document, their expressions shifting from suspicion to grudging acceptance. Very well. You may proceed. Captain Ishtar is in his office. The trio was escorted through the opulent halls of the governor's house, the grandeur of the surroundings only heightening their sense of unease. As they entered the captain's office, they were greeted by the imposing figure of Captain Marik Ishtar himself. Ishtar's gaze was sharp and penetrating as he took in the sight of the trio. You're here about the bounty? Jack stepped forward, his demeanor composed and authoritative. Yes, Captain. We've brought the evidence you requested. Harlequina subtly positioned herself near the desk, ready for any sudden moves. Harry kept a keen eye on the door, alert for any signs of trouble. Ishtar's eyes flickered with interest as he examined the fake corpse. Very well. I'll have it inspected. In the meantime, tell me, why should I trust you? Jack's response was smooth and practiced. We're professionals. We know how to get the job done. And we're not here to cause trouble, just to collect what's rightfully ours. Ishtar nodded, his gaze lingering on Jack. I see. I'll make the necessary arrangements. You may wait here. The tension in the room was palpable as the captain's office door closed behind them. Harlequina, Jack, and Rabbit exchanged glances, their nerves on edge as they waited for the moment of truth. Ishtar came back, and his sharp gaze assessed them with renewed interest. How did you manage to kill him? He asked, a hint of genuine curiosity in his voice. Harlequina stepped forward, her demeanor calm and collected. I'm a very good hunter. My prey rarely escapes me. Ishtar's eyes narrowed, but his expression remained inscrutable. Then here's a chance for you to earn more money. What happened to Jim Bob's associates? I understand they managed to escape. Harlequina's lips curled into a small, confident smile. Yes, they escaped. Mostly alive. Ishtar's eyes flashed with a mix of frustration and intrigue. I will offer double the bounty for any one of his associates alive. And triple the amount if you manage to retrieve my golden rod. Harry, who had been quietly absorbing the conversation, couldn't hold back his curiosity. What's so important about this rod anyway? Ishtar's lips curled into a rare, soft smile. It's a family heirloom. Very sentimental. I'd like to see it return to its rightful place. Jack, sensing the need to maintain their cover, gave a nod. We'll see what we can do. The three turned and walked away, their minds already racing with plans and possibilities. The tension of the encounter was palpable, and the gravity of Ishtar's offer weighed heavily on their minds. As the trio exited Captain Marik Ishtar's opulent office, the weight of their successful deception settled heavily on their shoulders. The grand hallway, adorned with elaborate tapestries and gilded moldings, felt oppressive now that their task was completed. The rich, velvety carpet muffled their footsteps, adding an eerie hush to their departure. Jack, Harlequina, and Harry walked briskly, their disguises still in place, concealing their true identities. The facade of confidence they wore was a thin veil over the adrenaline coursing through their veins. Harlequina glanced at Jack, her eyes reflecting a mix of satisfaction and calculation. That went better than I expected, she murmured. We managed to stay under the radar, and the money's a nice bonus. Harry, who had been silent throughout the encounter, couldn't suppress his curiosity. "I'm intrigued by what Captain Ishtar said about that golden rod. It must be significant if he's willing to offer such a high bounty." Jack nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "We'll need to dig deeper into this golden rod. For now, let's stick to our plan. We've got the money, and the Crow Medical Center is one step closer to becoming a reality." Back at their hideout, the underground hospital's development was progressing steadily. The dimly lit basement, with its exposed brick walls and flickering lanterns, served as a stark contrast to the grandeur of Ishtar's office. The air was thick with anticipation as Jack, Harlequina, and Harry gathered to debrief. Jack threw his hat onto a nearby table, his face reflecting a mixture of relief and contemplation. "We managed to fool Captain Ishtar into thinking Jim Bob is dead, and we made some money in the process. It was a successful deception." Harlequina, now in her casual attire, leaned against a wooden crate. "The money will certainly help with the construction of the medical center. But Ishtar's offer complicates things. He's clearly invested in that golden rod, and it might be worth our while to investigate further." Harry, still visibly intrigued by the golden rod, looked up from a pile of papers he was examining. "I agree. The rod could hold significant value, especially if Ishtar is so attached to it. Plus, the additional bounty offers make it a lucrative opportunity." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "We'll need to keep a close eye on any leads regarding the rod. For now, let's focus on the positive. We've secured funding for the medical center and set ourselves up for future operations." Harlequina's eyes sparkled with determination. "We've got momentum now. We should celebrate our achievements and prepare for the next steps." The group agreed, and they set about making preparations for a small celebration. They gathered around a makeshift table, its surface covered with a modest spread of food and drinks. The atmosphere was a mix of triumph and anticipation. Jack raised a glass, his eyes meeting those of his companions. "To our success, and to the future of the Crow Medical Center. Here's to making a real difference in Doskvol." Harlequina clinked her glass against Jack's, her expression one of camaraderie and resolve. "And to whatever comes next. We've made a significant stride, but there's more to achieve." Harry, still engrossed in his thoughts, raised his glass with a nod. "Here's to uncovering the mysteries of the golden rod and whatever challenges lie ahead." As they celebrated, the flickering candlelight cast shadows on the walls, painting a picture of their newfound determination and unity. The room, with its rustic charm and the promise of their future endeavors, was a testament to their resilience and ambition. Their laughter and conversation mingled with the soft glow of the lanterns, and for a moment, the weight of their mission was lifted. They were ready to face whatever came next, confident in their purpose and the strength of their alliance.